Welcome back, everyone, to Week 3 of the North American LCS Spring Split. Before we head into our next game, we want to check in on the conversation taking place on Twitter. Earlier, we asked which new NALCS player has been the most impressive this split and why. First up, Little Loco 22 says Huni because he is the best and always will be. Hola, hola, hola. We only take the most insightful responses here on the LCS.
I mean, he has been the best top laner in North American LCS.
Hasn't lost.
That's true.
Highest
Not lost
CS
yet.
differential at 10. Hasn't lost.
Yeah, neither has Gate in the top lane, to be fair. So,
Also true.
similar contributions. I
Smaller
think.
sample size.
Slightly.
Smaller sample
Slightly.
size. No, but Gate definitely gets the award for best fill this split,
Easily, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
3 games, 3 wins, 3 rolls. Pretty phenomenal. Next up, Vincent Corby said GBM, he had a great first week picking up the MVP award, and I think he will be one of the best mid laners in NA this split.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal player.
Somehow I have stats on all these guys. GBM.
Somehow?
Coming into this week. Well, I was looking at stats earlier. No one actually gave these to me.
Wow.
That was
Just throw the entire team under the bus. I did this all myself, and
Someone else was tracking them.
You just had to go find
you
him.
just
Yeah. Anyway.
looked at the numbers.
Coming into the week, GBM had the highest damage per minute of all players in North America. Some of that does have to do with the fact that he's played Victor and Varus, but I mean, he had an Ari game in the middle. Obviously, he didn't play against Echo Fox, so it's 3 games rather than 4. So, like, it could just be weighted from the Varus game. But still, doing good work.
Also, too, I think there's something to be said for the fact that we were looking at him last season as one of the up-and-coming mid laners in Korea, right? Where you're up against the likes of Faker. And so when you kind of look at that talent pool that he's coming out of, the expectation for him is very high here in North America.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely super high. And it's interesting if we, like, expand the discussion a little bit based on, like, how Korean imports are doing. Like, we see players, like, go back from the NALCS. The first
Poor
example
JJ
is
and Gamsu are back.
Right. So Gamsu's over in Europe, but also, like, you have people like QG's support TCT or more, who played on LMQ back in NA, and he's like undefeated in China, and he was, you know, on a 3rd place NALCS team. And it's not just because of him, but like you'll see players who did well in NA do really, really well somewhere else, and it's interesting sort of seeing the
You're
balance
welcome,
of players.
world.
Yeah,
You're
our
welcome.
NA exports are freaking crushing it, I gotta say.
Then you have
We're just
Tipsol,
churning
80
out
carry, who, like, you see this ripped, shirtless picture of him, and then he's never seen again.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah. Anyway, next up, Samuel Collinson said, I think Dardoch from TL has been the most impressive so far with the amount of map presence and pressure he brings for Team Liquid.
Yeah, Dardoch's a great player, and he came up from NA Challenger from last year, and I remember, like, watching him alongside Zyrene and, like, seeing the games he's playing, and, like, this guy's going super hard. He's, like, playing AD Rek'Sai or just, like, full damage Nidalee, and, like, he was like, okay, this guy's like a really scary jungler. Like, he's going to take over the games. He's one of the best players in the Challenger scene, and then, you know, gets pulled up to the Team Liquid main squad, and it's like, he's actually acclimating pretty well. And a lot of times you'll see players not really be ready for the LCS stage, and Dardoch's doing, I would say, better than expected on a general sense.
First few games, even in their losses, we're seeing him make a lot of early plays, a lot of early aggression.
Plays with a lot of confidence.
Exactly.
Which is rare when you're first coming into the LCS, especially for junglers. They'd be more passive. They're, like, worried about setting up a play. But Dardoch just flies in there and is very willing to make it.
Individually, he's there. Now it's about for the whole team if they can make it work. Next up, Laser Robot Man, nice name. CLG's Stixay for sure. He's able to put out insane amounts of damage in team fights alongside Darshan with his amazing mechanics. Now, this is somebody who actually impressed me quite a lot at IEM San Jose. My kind of first real experience watching him play, being in the audience, he was my big takeaway from that tournament. Yeah,
I think Stixay definitely acclimated. Again, he's a player who I think acclimated faster than you would generally expect from a rookie. Generally solid play. We've talked to his teammates, and I think it was Afram who said, yeah, you know, mechanically he's right up there. He doesn't have the same kind of game sense because, you know, he is a rookie. And you do see that happen. Like, in games where CLG wins, it's usually games where, you know, Stixay didn't have to make any wrong choices. But games where CLG lose, you'll often see him just via inexperience make these wrong plays. And, you know, I mean, that's just what he is as a player. There's 2 sides to that coin.
Yeah. Also think Nick Garnsey didn't check his numbers. He's got the 2nd lowest damage per minute of 80 carries in North America.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Only above MASH.
All right, well, there's Ja with more of these stats that no one else has access to.
I only read damage per minute, and I'm using it for every reference point.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine, yeah, right? I'm pretty sure that's how you come out with, like, a very accurate depiction.
It's really a wide spectrum.
Well, hey, I at least use win and loss rate to equate Gate to impacting those people.
He's the best. Greatest of all time, actually.
Yeah.
as
That's what
far
GATE
as playing
stands for,
for
actually.
In one of like
Greatest
1,000
all-time
categories.
Everything.
Everything. Greatest all-time everything GATE.
GATE.
It's actually an acronym.
There it is.
Crack the code.
There it is. Greatest all-time everything. That's pretty fabulous. Well, look at us finding
I'm
gold
really
on the
proud of
desk. Next up.
We're so smart.
And finally, Blazing Legend X says Rainover has been consistent all year. I believe his map pressure and ganks have been very impressive so far. Oh, look at you guys!
This is the third time I did this.
We're
and
evolving so
Chad was
well
told
as a
for the third
desk.
time that I
Yeah.
gave him a non-fist bump, so I finally.
I'm proud of you.
Typically, when you
Both.
give fist bumps, you're just like, yeah, man. You don't just like, he looked away. Like, that's just not how it works. See, he did it again. Like, you don't.
It's funnier this way.
And Freak has no reason to look to the left. So, like, I can't do the same thing to him.
You know what's funny though? Is like he's the only person in the world who probably finds that funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like if I do that and you look away, I'm gonna feel like dejected.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel like the idiot who went to give you a fist bump
Yeah.
and he's just like, this is
Freak
great.
loves fist bumps.
He's
You're like,
this
you'll be
is-
stretching at your desk and he'll
Yeah.
be like, yeah, man, gotcha. And you're like, why would you do that?
Very true. It's so
we
true.
got the cameraman laughing. This is great.
All right, in
What a
case
good
you wanted
segment.
a little bit of insight into our daily lives with Freak, there it is for you. Now, there will be a slight delay before we jump into our next match, which is why we're feeling free to joke around here a little bit. NRG, they were late getting to the studio, and we wanted to provide them with enough time to load in and warm up so we have the most competitive match possible. But since we have a couple minutes, we want to revisit the wild ending of Game 1. Here's a clip.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
So, yeah, so before the game, actually, I messaged Seraph and he said, get ready for some split push. So he's already going for that one. And this is just TIP getting caught out, walking away a little bit too slowly. You'd seen Prox that had already ulted in, and just they know they can win the game if they lock these guys up for long enough. And I'm not sure they think they can win, just they can give enough time to knock that inhibitor. But it turns out that Dignitas aren't aware of how much danger they're in and fights under a 2-2 turret. And a 3v4 in a turret's not the worst thing in the world until they realize that Gate literally took no damage, and now it just all destroyed.
This game was also crazy because it's kind of like the TSM game in the sense that one thing happened and then 3 to 4 minutes later it was over. Here it's one thing happened and a minute and a half later the game was over. And like you said, it's a series of unfortunate events. Billy Boss misplayed the turret dive underneath the inhibitor turret. Once he knocked Seraph up with his ultimate, which dropped turret aggro, and then when he tried to body slam him, he pushed him out of the turret. So he was actually just stopping the aid of the turret entirely. And then it kind of went from bad to worse because once you lose that inhibitor, you're thinking, yes, you need to recall. But Tip did have the Lulu, and they just consistently kept pace and chased all the way into the base. Once the 1v1 happened, Team Dignitas, as far as I could tell, didn't make huge misplays. It was just a really unfortunate situation.
Yeah. Yeah, a very surprising ending, you know.
Certainly.
So our first two games, both of them, as you mentioned, they've been this balanced on a knife's edge, small 1v1 skirmishes here's there, but not a ton of kill trading. And then next thing we know, 3 minutes and the game's over.
Well, that's the thing is in these two games, you're in a state where the inhibs are already dead. Normally you get a 22-minute, oh, they stayed too long and we aced them, oh, cool, we got a Baron. And then you recall, you sit at your 5,000 gold lead, and then you work forward for the next 6 minutes. In these, in the C9 TSM one, it was well, the inhibs are dead. And so that one pick means, well, we can maybe take your base down. And this one, again, Seraph won the 1v1 and already knocked down the inhibitor. So it's well, these 3 kills mean we just have Seepers in your base.
Right. We've seen a couple examples of this so far, this split, where teams very early on have gone for more than just a single turret trade and pushed all the way to inhibs. Why? I guess I know that's a really open-ended question, but
Sure.
can you shed light on that?
It has to do with the changes that were made to the game. Last year, even if you would have wanted to make that change, it's much more difficult because the second turret in the lane used to have a shield, was much harder to take. Inhibitor turrets were also beefier. This year, especially if you're pushing before 15 minutes for the second tier turret and before 30 minutes for the inhibitor turret, they are substantially weaker than they were in prior seasons. So there's really nothing to differentiate the first tier turret to the second tier turret or the inhibitor turret that early on in the game, aside from their geography on the map.
Right.
So if you're willing to do the trade, it's much faster to execute now.
Interesting. So then I guess, and I don't want to belabor this too much, but my next question would be, we saw the mid laners sitting mid for quite a while, and then it wasn't until C9 tried to pull Jensen back to defend the inhib. Now, is there an evolution of this where the mid laners, mid lane is completely ignored to a degree, and the mid laners come back to either help or push faster?
Right. So the answer to this, I think, also harkens back to your initial question, which is why are these trades happening in the first place, is when you have to adapt, there's a huge opportunity cost of you had to get out of aggro range, then recall, then walk up to the fight. instead of killing minions or pressing your opponent or whatever. So like if Jensen recalls here and Bjergsen stays mid, Jensen loses 2 waves of farm and half his mid turret, and then just, well, he stops the push. It's like, cool, so, you know, like we were doing things equally, and then we kept doing things equally but lost 2 waves.
The rest of TSM backs.
Right.
Jensen's now at a loss in the 1v1 in the mid lane.
Right, whenever you're the first to flinch, you lose more.
Gotcha.
And so you always lose 5% by flinching first, when you maybe would have gone equal. And it's how quickly you're able to discern, oh no, we lose the game if we don't flinch. We'll take the 5% hit as opposed to the game loss.
It's a really awesome game of chicken.
Right. and your ability to think forward is what makes you not lose this game of chicken or win the game of chicken. It's normally something that Hai's very good at, which is why I'm a little bit surprised that C9 lost this.
Well, but they did win that trade. Yeah, they pulled Jensen back. They got the inhib, and their inhib stayed up. So they won that trade. It was unfortunately later that the game was lost. Now, with about 8 to 10 minutes before we're ready for this game, we've got some time to break it down. So both teams are getting set up. Going to move on to our third match, Team Liquid versus NRG Esports. Now, Team Liquid are coming off one of the biggest comebacks we've seen in the LCS. They were down 12K gold, 4 dragons, 3 inhibitors, and 11 kills. The first half of this graph, Team Liquid were 0-11, but Team Liquid, they fought back, getting 10 kills and grabbing their first win of the split.
Yeah, those are the nightmare gold graphs that you have in dynamic queue oftentimes. You just don't expect to see them in LCS games. And it's actually probably the worst 30 minutes a team has played who still won the game.
Right.
As far as Team Liquid is concerned. And you know, you say you don't want a loss like this, or you don't want to win like this, but no, you definitely want to win. This is always better than losing.
No, it's not worth it at this point.
Oh, we lost so bad, just take it away. That is exactly why you don't surrender. So I think Team Liquid gets a morale boost from that, and they will be looking more closely at their flaws.
Yeah, and they chose a very, very crucial fight to, like, they had to battle for that Baron that one time. They get the 30-second winner to do it. They were lucky to get that one. And so, okay, cool, they got that win. But yeah, TL, it's been weird because they easily could have been 3-1 or 0-4. Like just based on the results of games, like only the CLG game was like really out of hand. The rest of them were all totally winnable, or totally losable, as the case was for a lot of these. So it's why like Team Liquid are still like a B or C tier team in everyone's power rankings, because like people think they can still do this.
Yeah, they exist in this middle murky tier. Some of that comes from the fact that they're subbing so many players, at least at the start of the year. It looks like they're kind of stabilized right now on the Dardoch Matt lineup with Piglet, Smoothie, and Lorlo.
I don't think Piglet and Phoenix are moving anymore.
Lorlo is the only one who I might see subbed out like more recently if they decide to do some more changes. And it's because of that. They don't have the synergy. The games have been so weird. They're just an incredibly hard team to peg down that they're in a tier of their own right now until we get a little more normalcy and a little more time in the year.
There's definitely still a lot to figure out with this team, just like there's still a lot to figure out with NRG. When we look across the map, as you mentioned earlier, they're 1 game less than every other team in terms of games played. They also had a sub-roster in the first game, so we still don't have a ton of data to pull from when we look at this team. It's just that on paper, we have this idea Impact, GBM, and Alltech are fantastic carries.
Yeah, and honestly, the rest of the team has done pretty well. I mean, Kwan's kind of a new guy, but he's done okay for himself. And similarly, Moon is kind of a new guy in as well, but you know, has been a passable LCS jungler. And I mean, it's hard to shine when you're with people like GBM and Impact. So I mean, those guys get in the limelight. But I mean, this is, I think, a deservedly second-place team.
Right, and if we reference one of their most recent games, the game against Immortals, in which they lost, they were relatively even for 23 minutes, only a 1K gold discrepancy at that point. And so, you know, compare that to the likes of Tip, you know, getting beat in 18 minutes.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. When we talk about going up against Immortals as kind of a litmus test for where the rest of the teams in the LCS stand.
NRG played them really tight, and they were very heavily invested in the poke composition. So once that goes south, it falls down. But as you said, very hard to judge these teams. Their carries, who were supposed to be their carries, have shown up in a really big way, especially Impact in the 2 games he's played has had tremendous kill participation. GBM, as we mentioned in the Twitter segment, has the highest damage per minute. It's actually Alltech, if anyone, who would need to step up for this team to really come into their own, because you know, his damage has been low. He hasn't been showing much impact. I really wasn't a fan of his build in the game. They were doing a poke composition against Immortals, and he had nearly, you know, 3 to 4 item Corki build with no Sorcerer Shoes, despite 75% of his damage being magic. So I really want to see him step up.
Now we talk about the carries, but Freak, I want to talk about the 2 kind of lesser-known players on the team. We've got Moon and Kwan at jungle and support. And where do they fill in this roster? What are their roles in a perfectly fluid NRG team? What are they doing?
So what's funny is like Kwan's role is partially translator. Like
Yeah.
GBM's got like decent English. Like you could have, like you or I could have a conversation with him, and we would get through
He
it.
also is
He's also taking a nap. That's fine. He's also a notorious troll. If you didn't
somebody
know,
should let him know that the reason why we're waiting
they can warm
is so
up.
that he can warm up.
he can just nap for a bit for his game.
Snagging some Z's. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Right,
Please
and
continue.
Impact's is much weaker. I actually played a game with him. Like Smithy invited me to a Dynamic Q game, and Impact was there, and is like, that's a much like weaker English speaker, and you can probably get through a game, but like there's gonna be a certain element of translating there for Con. But so far in his games, like I've been pretty happy with his play. You know, he's another one of these like sort of overlooked NA challenger tier players that, okay, well now the roster got put together, they need NA players, so he's there. Moon's a bit more of an unknown. I really liked him in NA challenger back on his old team Imagine last time. They made promo tournament, they didn't quite win in it. And I think he's like very similar to Dardoch. In fact, those guys even like Moon replaced Dardoch on Imagine. Like those guys are very sort of close together in skill level and in terms of their upbringing, and like those are guys where it's like you could have a Meteos season where you're like, surprise, I exist and I'm the best, or you know, there's plenty of players who show up and they get replaced later down the line.
Yeah, I definitely do think that communication is going to be a big element of that. If anyone hasn't seen Jad's breakdown of the team fight, you see an element of that miscommunication for NRG in their grouping against Immortals. So be sure to check that out. Now we're going to hand it off to our casters to get us into Champ Select as we go. Moon says Team Liquid's deep bench may be more of a hindrance than a strength.
I think Liquid is really good, but since they're using a 10-man roster and they just are swapping in and out the jungle and support role, they don't have that much experience. So I think in time, they'll be a lot more experienced in mid-game. The early game is good because I think Dardoch and MatLife are just really strong players, but right now they don't have the team synergy.
Never know until you have to play him. A 10-man roster can actually prove very useful if it does start to click. And that might be on this day.
One thing that is, does go in their favor is that the jungle and support that they're swapping out were kind of as a unit, as the shot calling unit for the challenger team. So those two guys, their shot calling together kind of still is intact as they transfer it over.
It's very interesting to see. He's on stage right now, Loco Doco, talking with the team, making sure they have the final kind of things that he wants to say before picks and bans goes. Because you always see a coach at the end of picks and bans want to turn around and give them one last thing. There's a lot of things going through your head once that starts. And he wants to make sure everything's out right now.
Yeah,
They've been having
you never know
trouble,
what'll
so
happen. You get
that.
thrown at Cassiopeia top. You need to have something to say, a game plan for them to go into the game with.
See, very focused. Dardoch there, getting a little strategy on. Getting it all out now. Been playing very well for the team. Kind of looked at by a lot of the community as somebody that might be able to really kind of show some star power now that he's on the stage. Has a chance to really put himself in the limelight as one of the better junglers.
There's definitely a lot of hope for Dardoch to see, what can he prove,
Yes.
especially just in this matchup. As Freak was talking about, Moon was the jungler that replaced him on Imagine. So there's even that extra little chip on your shoulder that this is a player that has replaced you on a team.
You're going to clean it off. All right, let's check out the starting lineups and see how this plays out. On the blue side, it's Team Liquid. That means it's Lorlo in the top lane, Dardoch in the jungle, as we were just talking about him. Phoenix making plays in mid, Piglet at 80 carry, and Matt at support with Coach Loco Doco.
And on the red side, it's NRG Esports. Up top is Impact. In the jungle is Moon. Mid, GBM, 80 carry Altec. Support Quan, and Coach Hermit up on the stage with them.
And this would really be a huge step for Liquid. NRG is one of the teams we're looking at to stay up there with Immortals, and they still are. That's their only loss. So for Liquid to kind of take this win, I'm sure they can take it more than a grain of salt and say, we found some cohesiveness in the team, and we can start beating these top tiers.
Yeah, they'll definitely take any win that they can get. Their graph kind of looks like they lost the first three, then pretty much lost the fourth one until they barely pulled it back. So it's kind of like they hit the bottom, and now the only way to go is up. See how well they can.
I've played those graphs, Kobe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I had a game where it looked just like
graph,
and it literally stops 34 gold plus on the line. And you know what? You feel like you've played 3 or 4 games, and it plays on your mentality. And that's not what you want to have as a professional player. You want to be able to move on to the next game and not worry about that kind of situation ever.
Maybe they'll be inspired and revitalized by pulling out a win.
To never let it happen.
Nothing. Starting off here though with blue side Gangplank ban actually. They're going to finish it off with Nidalee plus Graves. So that means Rek'Sai probably rises importance. Elise and Rek'Sai both available actually, so those will probably be traded.
Ooh.
Maybe they go for something like a Poppy first pick rather than
Poppy,
and just take the second half of that jungler deal.
Kench is up, Kallista's up. Quite a few things that everybody would like to play recently. Poppy does get picked up. Lorlo will not be on an R game.
And there's your Kallista Elise instant
Shedding
reaction. Even though Kallista and Elise are both champions that have dashes that will be interrupted by Poppy W, they're just so strong all around to grab those. Let's see if NRG actually can get the combo too, the Alistar Kallista combo. Next round. Team Liquid might go for the interrupt there. Rek'Sai, they could pick it if they want to just save pick space. Yep, and there they go. Instantly, actually.
So they don't take the alley. Leave it up for the side. Maybe it's not even what NRG has in mind, but it synergizes very nicely with the Kalista.
They show Caitlyn pretty early, too.
Yep.
I mean, Caitlyn, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, there was a scrim group, I think, that had a lot of success with Caitlyn, and so there's a few teams that have been heavily using her and, you know, spamming those traps to fully wall off an entire lane and, for the siege up in the mid game. But she hasn't had the greatest of success thus far.
No, Piglet was able to find that win over Echo Fox, and
yeah,
it was the 3-0-6.
That crazy win. That was the coming back from such a ridiculously behind early game.
That 3-0-6 on that is a pretty telling story of how Piglet is already good at positioning and mechanics in fights, so Caitlyn range allows him to toy with that even more, keep himself in a good position to carry for the team. Looking at the lock-ins here, it's going to be a Bard Lux to be locked in. I actually love Caitlyn and Lux together because if you try to block the ultimate, you're taking one, right? You're either taking an ace in the hole or you're lining up for a double laser. So fantastic.
Yeah, plus it doubles down on their siege here for the Caitlyn. So
absolutely.
They're going to be setting up the siege with the Caitlyn spam of traps, and Phoenix on the Lux will be able to, you know, snipe anybody. Like you said, they can combo for double ultimates. Meanwhile, the second part of their, you know, last rotation lock-in here with the Bard. Bard has been such a huge champion for Matt. He plays so much Bard, and it really does show. His long-range initiations, setting up these plays with the champion. He's been pretty much all over the map creating plays. But as their coach said when he was on the desk, you know, 1 out of every maybe 8 or 9 games, he has this terrible Bard game. So usually he takes over and he just crushes it. But every once in a while, there's a loopy game there for him. Meanwhile,
a
the
good Bard is amazingly annoying.
A good Bard is extremely annoying. Meanwhile, they do find the Alistar to complete their combo. So there's a ridiculous amount of crowd control here from the bottom lane of NRG.
Yeah.
And it is going to free up GBM here on the Victor once again. We've seen him catch junglers out with the Victor burst. 2 Baron steals to his name, a bunch of kills as well with the combo of that burst. And Impact is going to take the Trundle into Poppy matchup. Going to be able to steal some stats there.
Yeah. Very interesting to see. We're just watching the Poppy Fiora. Now we'll get a Poppy Trundle. Like you were saying, GBM on that Victor, very well versed in his Baron steals. I'm definitely watching what happens with this Lux lane. We haven't seen too much of her lately, only a few games.
Yeah, I mean, normally you'd be like, don't they want more hard initiation from their top lane? You know, Trundle's a fairly, it's kind of soft initiation, and it's great follow-up because NRG do have the Kalista Alley combo already. They can afford to just have Trundle come in after you throw Alistar in there and he gets back-to-back knockups. Pillar spam is going to keep everyone there. So they've got continuous engage there, and they can keep you trapped in that team fight. If you get knocked up by Alley for this backline,
seeing that now makes more sense. I kind of had a Kench in my mind, but the continuous of the crowd control, it works out. Kobe's got it. We'll see if it happens. Tell us how you think it's going to play out, though. You always know what we think. Tweet your votes, hashtag TL winner, hashtag NRG win to @LOL Esports. Your voice can be heard as we take that poll. It's a little bit into the game. You'll see it on the bottom screen over the inventory. But we are on to game 3 of the day. It has been an amazing day here in week 3. Everything about threes. Under 30-minute game so far. Week 3, day 1. Let's see what happens here if somebody can get another win. Right now it's 3-1 and 1-3. And Liquid's looking to make that a 2-3 score after this game here. Let's see if they can get a win and start to pick up that roster.
All right, everybody fanning out. Line of scrimmage with pretty much normal lanes matched up. Looks like we'll just have defensive wards as well. Now, Kalista, or not Kalista Alistar versus Bard Caitlyn seems like the 2v2. You'd get poked really heavily as the Alistar Kalista. So I wonder if NRG might try and switch something up here, or if they're just going to try and weather that storm. But Matt's a really aggressive Bard and goes for a lot of the harass. I believe he has Thunderlords. I wasn't quite looking. But that plus Caitlyn auto range advantage poses quite a lot of threat, unless the Elise comes down to, capitalize on an all-in with the Alistar. And as of right now, since it was just defensive wards, Team Liquid are going to get the call here on the lane swap. I think that NRG are trying to lane swap away from it, and Team Liquid are trying to blind call the swap and find them here. We'll see if anybody actually goes for a re-swap. We have yet to see that. As Freak was talking about, first person to flinch loses out on about a minion wave or so.
It was 5%, Kobe.
All right, Matt going for the invade.
So much math recently. Let's see if Matt can get out of this. We saw High doing the same thing on Braum last game. They have actually pulled it up towards the brush, so Matt really not going to be able to do too much to deter them in terms of damage or even get that Krug for himself.
Yeah, I guess, so either they were being extra safe checking for the non-swap right there, or they were caught off guard because Matt and Piglet were unable to get Gromp. Not quite sure how many melee minions of experience Piglet was able to soak there. Let me rewind that real quick.
Get it. I'll watch Conquan.
Oh, all in, never mind.
On to Matt. Matt had already stepped forward, missed a Cosmic Binding, and missed his meat control as well on hitting Altec. So they lost a lot of damage in that first trade. The Peacemakers both have now missed for Piglet as well.
Were they not accounting for the Krugs being taken?
I think Conquan's health was at half. They had to have.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to suspect that they did, because they came later lane and you didn't have any vision of them. But anyways, NRG, they got the jump. They got the early level 2 all in there for the Kalista Alistar, and that heavily changes the swing of the matchup here, as all of the potions from Matt have been burned through,
Flash
as
down
well as Piglet. So definitely a more vulnerable lane here, and they have to respect the all-in because Conquan still has Flash. So Elise visits, that's a ton of pressure. They can even go for tower dives, especially with a Flash Alistar. And no flash on Bard. While he can output a lot of damage, and try and play their lane aggressively, he's going to have to alter the playstyle here now because he's very vulnerable. Elise is making her way over, so Rek'Sai Tremor Sense might tip him off. Let's see if he actually does try and make anything happen. Walking around the side, Dardoch is not burrowed, so he doesn't see no Tremor Sense available. Just out of range.
Yeah, he'll see the scuttle real quick. Know that there was a bit there, doesn't want to show himself, but the ward being given up pretty much does give up the knowledge that he's there. Top side here for Dardoch. You're going to see if they can get somewhat of a lane gank. Since it's looked like NRG's going very hard on this.
Yeah, I think it's a prep for a counter gank. They're expecting Elise to come into lane, so he just wants to be there to counter any abuse, because the top lane of NRG won that trade so hard earlier. They're expecting some jungler follow-up, but Moon is not going to follow up top. He's going to walk through this ward. Phoenix playing it cool.
And he's going to
Let me waste this jungler's time real quick.
Nice catch.
Is he going to interrupt the recall as well? He could chuck a binding over there for extra.
Do it now.
Nope, doesn't want to get close enough. If you walk too close, you don't want to.
Yep.
Risk a flash cocoon and die for it.
Outplay yourself. Get that auto in. Get the auto. It's so hard to play that against Victor because he just shields himself anyways. Definitely not a lane you're looking to kill in, but Phoenix has that teleport as well. We may see that happen if this can't be a kill pulled in. Mid lane's getting some support love as well. Phoenix comes down, bot lane gets a kill, and they also thwart a gank in the mid lane from Conquan.
Great communication there from Team Liquid. Uses the tunnel just to burn the flash, and then they know they've got an easy setup with the flash unburrow into the wall bang there.
They want him bad. There's a ping on him again. The rinse and repeat here. There was actually a first time. This will be the first. Very nicely done. Moon throws the volatile spider out with Phoenix thinking it would be the cocoon.
Dardoch
The
here,
mind
though.
games. Where's the pickup come from? That's Lorlos. He gets the poppy kill onto Alistar in a trade back and forth with the TPs being used on both sides.
Dardoch and Lorlo, the Bash brothers, are taking names here. Bottom lane and the teleport used immediately there. So they're able to at least get one back here for Phoenix's death. But yeah, that's also the flash for Alistar, so
That's true.
definitely expending a lot of resources from NRG's side. As well, Lorlo, though. He also used his teleport, so we shall see if that comes to anything. I guess Impact used his teleport to get back to lane earlier, so not a big deal. Oh, they're coming in for it again. Good pillar.
Wow. Makes it look so easy, but it may not be that easy. Onto the turret. They pursue Impact, and they get the kill they were looking for. Goes over to Lorlo.
Oh, man, and the
just
lane is
got
going to
one.
push against him. Okay, I thought Dardoch was going to mess up the freeze right there and
Oh, no, he's good.
get yelled at, but they're going to leave it frozen. And that is going to be a really, really tough time for Impact for the rest of this game now.
It's time for Lorlo to shine as well.
Lorlo is going to take over this
We've been
game
questioning
now.
the Gnar. He's now got 2 on Poppy, and he's fought for those. He went mid to grab a TP kill, and he got some love bot lane.
Look
You
at the
can use
synergy,
it.
too. They even bought the same items. They've got Swifty Boots plus the Cinder.
They had that 2-for-1 coupon.
Except for those starting items there.
Go back and buy together.
That's some next level mind games there. They're like, we're going to come get you again. We both have Swifties. There's nothing you can do to run away.
Well, he's still hovering the bottom side of the map, and it's only got Krugs there. We'll see. He's waiting for his red, so he's got timer on that. Red and maybe a dead Impact. We'll see. He's almost level 6. It's not like it's
Red and dead?
It may save him in terms of not getting dove completely under the turret, but already heading down bot.
He's got a Tiamat, so he's got full offensive itemization here.
Forced to push.
Moon is actually at half life too, so unless he gets a good cocoon, the 2 versus 2 is even going to be hard. Oh man, they're going for it already. There is a ward there that Dardoch is going to claim. But yeah, Moon's not even in a spot to really turn this around. He's healing up off the Gromp right now, and he's going to try and get into a fog position so that he can land the cocoon.
Now,
But they might even still lose that 2v2. Okay, so GBM turns
Oh, boy.
the numbers.
I was going to say the tables have turned here. We just saw Dardoch trying to do a counter gank instance in the top lane. You see Moon hovering in the bot lane, and GBM was like, all right, enough of this nonsense.
Stop it! Get off my top
Get
laner.
off my top laner.
So much pressure here from Dardoch, though. Moon
Yeah.
really having a hard time catching up. And Moon has also rushed Swifties just to try and keep up on the map. So going to be a lot of delayed damage here. Elise, she's going to have really delayed damage. She has no damage itemization actually right now. So even the combo from him is going to be super hard turning around any even number fights.
Dardoch doesn't have too many tunnels all over, but he's got the right ones. He just keeps using them.
Yep,
Got you that. Bless you again anyways. 9 minutes on. Moon's going to grab his red. We'll see if he can do anything with this. Hit 6, not a huge spike for him. Just gets more change form ability with the spiderlings.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that even with the constant ganks here, Lorlo actually, CS advantage is not there for him. You know, it is in part due to him using his teleport mid to clean up that kill so that Phoenix didn't die for nothing. Whereas Impact was able to teleport back the lane, so he got some more minions that way. Here comes Moon, though. Trying to create a play for himself, but I don't feel like there's going to be a full commitment from Picklid.
He almost
So
jumped
it's
to the
going to have
brush
to
to
be
auto.
a flash here from Conquan.
Oh, Matt! No! Oh, deja vu from the first level.
Oh, he
Gets
did.
repelled on the Fate's Call. Oh, not Fate's Call, I apologize. On Bard Ultimate. And that is just going to be the hit. Tempered Fate.
Altec? Can they
is what
get
I was
Altec?
looking
He's
for.
so low.
Oh, laser through the uprights, and it does not look like there's going to be a finisher on this one. A little bit of a late roam there from Phoenix.
I think Phoenix got both the heal and the flash there off of Altec, and they're going to have turret pressure, but yes, no kill taken back for Team Liquid.
Not too many minions missed here for Phoenix. 94 to 94 is GBM also gets some rotate on. Saving the mins.
All right, all defensive wards as well for
Yep.
both teams, so everybody just trying to hold the line here. Let's see if GBM He's able to dodge this gank. He does have Ghost and Flash. He ends up using both. I would definitely in that scenario see that Flashes or Ghost is not going to help you much because the Ghosty already hit you. So just burn the Flash, but he actually expends both because he uses Ghost first, trying to outrun it. 2-for-1 summoners there on that gank, definitely worthwhile. Dardoch definitely keeping up the pressure here.
Lorlo with TP as well, adding a bit of pressure. We saw Impact almost use his to top lane just a second ago.
Okay.
Piglet and the rest of the team, we're going to put some pressure here. We do have a back from Dardoch. Void rushes up, so we may see some love towards that top side. A bit of a rotation as well from Altec and the team now towards mid.
Yeah, Phoenix knows he has to play really safe now because Conquan's level 6. And a level 6 Alistar clearing wards in your jungle makes you very, very worried that there's a tower dash coming. So Phoenix is actually going to recall.
Safe on this play. It looks like they definitely did want to get something down, Kobe. You were right, with Altec roaming that hard with Conquan. As nothing comes of it, they head back to the top lane, and Piglet still just farming away. Safe after blowing that flash and everything that happened in the early game. Like we said, he can keep that distance on this Caitlyn. It'll be a second play in a row after the Echo Fox game last week. 1,600 gold lead right now for Team Liquid. No real focus on Baron just yet, or sorry, Dragon just yet, at 12 minutes in.
I think Dardoch was seen on his entry into the jungle here, and so Moon is making his way over as well. Try and go for the Rift Herald. GBM actually wants to answer here.
Oh no, he's
Nope, they're hovering mid.
quite a bit.
This is actually a pretty big pickup. I think since the nerf, recent nerf to it, the opportunity cost for taking Rift Herald is a lot smaller. You don't lose nearly as much health, and it's actually a really strong buff. The other thing that I want to talk about is it's definitely an issue. People keep complaining about giving Rift Herald to junglers, but it is good on them. I've heard people in multiple regions criticizing giving it to junglers, but it increases your clear speed so much with the move speed and damage that it gives.
Oh.
Plus, it makes your ganks even stronger. I am obviously biased because I'm a jungler, but we deserve it too.
There you go.
It's really, really strong.
That's all I wanted you to say.
On junglers. Now, I would give it to my mid laner, especially if they're playing an assassin, because it really enables assassin to make roaming plays, but Lux is just going to sit there anyway. Lorlo trying to get some damage down here on Impact, but the ultimate for Impact is doing so much work. Lorlo got himself
frozen
really
blade.
deep.
A few more hits. Oh, the shield is there. Impact knows he has to flash.
Oh,
Wait a minute. Caster. Oh, he got the health back.
Yeah, he's able to get extra regeneration.
Ooh, that regen.
Throwing down the frozen domain there. Plus, I think he had corrupting potion ticking there, so it also increases that. But man, that was an exciting top laner duel there. They actually both burned flashes. Lorlo thought he could grab that kill right there. Wasn't going to take the flash advantage. Regardless, he pushes Impact out of lane and gets the small advantage of shoving those minions into the turret. So, very small minion advantage for himself there.
Yep. Talking about a minion advantage, Dardoch 76-45 on Moon right now. Seeing a lot of the Rek'Sais today, pretty much power farming their opponents.
Yep, he's
Really
also had more gank pressure. So when
true.
Rek'Sai gets ahead, she really runs with it because of the ultimate and the speed that Rek'Sai can get through the jungle after you've set up your network from camp to camp.
Right.
It makes it really easy to farm quickly, and you can get out there for ganks. So we're seeing that here.
Right. TP back to an even lane in mid, which means Phoenix is down. He hasn't really used it to make
can he
too many
execute?
plays. That's going to be the
Looks
take.
like he got it.
Yeah.
Good repel.
It's the second time he's been able to repel a Tempered Fate. The Bard ultimate not been used to really assist the team at all. Dardoch wants to get out of this one, but he's got to be forced to run into GBM. The team knows this is not an engage, and they start to peel back off that so they don't get stuck in a
Well,
bad
everybody's
position.
here for the party. Lorlo
Yeah.
also did a little bit later of a teleport, but nobody sticks in the fight. And both top laners give up on the bottom lane. Now let's see. That is going to leave the wave right in front of Lorlo's turret. So pretty good spot for him, considering both top laners just use teleport. It is going to push away from him, though, if he doesn't get there soon, so not really a big deal. Oh, look at this.
Boom! Right in the face! Straight to the kisser. Matt goes down. You ever taken a cow to the kisser, Kobe?
Not, thankfully.
It's a painful thing. It's painful. Alas, 16 minutes on the clock.
What happened, Riv? This is like an interesting story. I want to hear more. Have you experienced this? Did cow tipping go wrong?
Another day, Kobe.
Okay.
Another day.
Sorry. That's what I'll wait for. I'll be patient.
So 2K gold lead and a whole lot of pressure being added in by NRG here. Looks like Fate's call when it's up. Conquan's going to be thrown around. And that's the way they're getting in.
Oh,
Team
they're coming back to the same old strat.
Looking to answer back here. They say, all right, you got a little love for top lane. We got a little love for bottom. But Impact's going to get more tanky. Remember, Subjugate, that ultimate makes it so much harder to get through that Trundle. And Impact proves it right there, keeping his turret nice and healthy.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say healthy. It's alive.
Yeah, Lolo's been keeping up the turret pressure as well here, so it's slowly going down. Mid lane move here. Let's see if Phoenix is able to stay safe. He does have flash. He can flash this Cocoon. Oh. Can't flash this Cocoon. Flashes early
Well,
instead.
he keeps getting with the volatile flash. Because the image almost looks the same, right? So it's kind of mind gaming. And plus, he's almost has to flash because you're going to die in that situation.
They're on like 8 ping. I say you wait till you see that Cocoon.
Right until it's like almost touching you?
Yeah.
Got it.
But
that's why you were so good, Kobe.
It really didn't matter. He took maybe 75 damage because of it from the laser after the shield mitigated some of it.
We'll see how that shield actually affects these fights once they get into them. A lot of AoE to be had here by NRG, and that prismatic barrier across the whole team can really change a whole lot. 17, not too much. Still a lot towards this top lane for both teams. We gotta wait for these turrets to drop and big gold surges to really get in the pockets here of each player.
Well, yeah, once, you know, Team Liquid's very happy to just hold on to this lead and farm Piglet up because they want this Caitlyn to get to at least the 2-item spike. They prefer even more to start knocking down those turrets. But then we'll eventually see the siege line up with the trap spam at the turret to wall off the entire lane and the Lux plus Caitlyn damage from afar. At that point, then you have to watch out for the Callista initiation. It's pretty much all up to Altec and Conquan to start it off, and then as we said, it's Impact for the follow-up. These guys are getting a real good feel for each other's capabilities in the fight. They're constantly testing their limits.
They're not afraid. It's the back and forth.
Slowly goes down there. The whittling of the top turret pays off. Rift Herald number 2 here for Team Liquid. Let's see if they can transition that into the bottom as well, because they can get that sort of domino effect, grab all of the outer turrets, and then go for that siege up. Still no dragon taken. Moon is down by it, but he's pretty behind, and he is Cinder Hulk, so I mean, he could go with Impact and do it, but they're just going to recall. Oh, they have a ping on it. Ah! Somebody called it. Moon cancels his recall. Impact comes over. And they're going to take that one for the Rift Herald. They heard the scream. They know it's free. This is going to be a bit of damage on Impact, though, and every bit counts with how close these duels have been between the solo side laners, let's call them, since they're on bottom today.
Yep. Fighting it out. Lorlo definitely doing well on the Poppy.
Riv, they're doing it. They're using the Rift Herald buff to buff up minions and push down turrets. They sent Piglet with the buff down to the bottom lane, and then they changed their mind since Loro's already got it. But they're going to try and do it mid instead. See if they can get that last
Actually,
out.
it looks like Dardoch has kind of veered off from the team, calling for a bit of assistance. Rift Herald's going to be used in the jungle, which is not really where you see it used by an AD carry. And I don't think they're going to get any fight out of this. Back and forth, a little bit of a dance, and Dardoch is going to pressure. They don't have a jungle smite too close. Moon across the wall has the smite used on the Wolf, and the Wolf camp is just going to give them the knowledge that it's taken. Something they already knew. Top lane being pushed in now by Impact. He's working off what the team has going here in the bot lane. Let's see if he can take that down and create a little bit more pressure for the team. Haven't seen too many big engages where GBM and Phoenix are involved yet. So
yeah.
Still waiting for their power.
It's been a slow and arduous game here. Team Liquid, their lines of control are slowly moving up into the jungle of energy. And here it is. The Rift Herald buff on the minions for the push, it's almost going to run out. And there's wave clear, so it doesn't do anything. See, this is why you give it to the jungler. The jungler, it directly increases a jungler's gold generation because you can clear those camps faster and then get out into the lanes and apply pressure. Whereas laners have to wait for the minion wave anyway for their gold generation. Unless it's an assassin.
All this jungle
Go for a
propaganda,
kill.
Kobe.
Hey man, I've heard people talk about it so much, and they're like, "Hey, don't give it to the jungler." I don't know. Sometimes bugs me.
If you play,
Not as much as Nunu though.
if you play solo queue with Kobe over the next few weeks,
I might take it.
just take the Rift Herald. Please
All right.
and thank you.
Let's see if they can group up here because this is a pretty big boost in gold advantage for Team Liquid since they just got the 2-turret advantage. And they'd really like to cement their lead here by taking the mid turret. Once you crack that mid one, you gain so much of a lead. But as we've already seen, Gank by Mom on, or GBM on Victor easily can wave clear an entire wave. Rift Herald buff obviously is not Baron buff. It doesn't give you magic immunity for your minions. So the answer to it is Victor. Victor's always the answer when wave clear is what you need.
Wave clear or popping an AD carry. Victor can do both.
And Baron, apparently. He's got 2 steals for himself.
That's your GBM. That's a requisite for GBM.
All right, let's
Gotta
see if
have
they
that-
do
gotta have
collab.
the Victor first and then steal.
Because Kalista Ultimate is available and Flash on Alistar. They could do it.
All right, Conquan headbutt to a minion. Goes forward. Fates call out. We're going to get another pop-up as well. So they
man.
go for the double tap on the crowd control. Dardoch is just a huge tank in the front line right now. Swinging and swiping. The hit goes on. That's the hammer shock. That's an impact possibly going down, but he stays alive. It goes under the turret. Team Liquid's been waiting for a fight this whole time, and have they gone too far? It is a 2-for-1. And it looks like they will be able to gain control.
That's definitely going to be the turret. And something I have to point out for that fight, because it was just off screen up to the top. Matt hit the ultimate Bard ultimate. It was so good. It was right onto
Don't
Altec.
say.
As Altec called Conquan back with the Kalista ulti, Bard was able to land the stasis and keep both Alistar and Kalista out of the fight. No reactivation there for the knockup, I'm pretty sure. And he was able to do it. That was the best tempered fate that we've seen all game from him. So here it is. Yep. Calls him back into it. Gets all 3 of them, basically. Oh, no. He did get the reactivation out, so Conquan is back out. But still, the Kalista's not in that fight, and then Altec just attacks minions for the rest of this. Altec literally didn't auto-attack a single champion. He got 1 spear off. That was it. There's his 1 auto. Okay.
Interesting interaction because it's not Kallista's cast, it's Conquan's choice to leave the Fate's Call.
All right.
Tricky interaction that may actually have, or very well worked against Energy right there.
You can have, you know, like 3 botched tempered fates in a row. Doesn't matter as long as you win the team fight for your team by taking out the.
Just gotta hit that one half-court tempered fate. You win $1 million. 7,000 gold lead. It's been going quick. A lot of games today don't open up, and then instantly the floodgates open and everything starts falling.
This game has been so much more controlled than our first 2 games, though.
Don't curse it.
And Team Liquid slowly moving in. Very methodic gameplay from there, from them so far. Actually, mid lane is left open, and NRG actually try and save this secondary turret some damage. Phoenix does not opt to go for turret damage in mid lane. They don't really have deep vision. Now with Phoenix entering, closing in on a death cap, he can 100% your AD carry. Altec has to be so careful right now of Lux Burst, because Luden's Echo is completed already. Once he goes back and gets that death cap. Oh, here it goes.
Does he want it? Oh no, they get to Phoenix! The range was there! Phoenix now on the back line in the eyes of Altec, and the laser gets off! That's what they needed. 2 DPS targets, or 1 for each team, is out. Conquan's down for crowd control and support. Moon's in a real bad spot, and he goes down. He couldn't even be safe under the turret. And Liquid in and out while tanking
GBM clean
and putting
up.
each other under the turret aggro perfectly. Micro in and out to make sure they get the kills they need, leaving only GBM.
There was a lot of bursting in that fight. Lux was able to burst Altec. GBM was able to burst Piglet, so both mid laners 100% the enemy AD carries. Oh, you better watch out. That thing's about to reset. Dardoch's coming in for the steal. Ah! Did he get it? I don't know. All right, anyway, Conquan, yeah, he was able to get Phoenix. They lock him down, and even, it wasn't even 100% from him. But anyways, they burst him down. Then here goes the tower dive. Lorlo and Dardoch happy to go for it. Moon gets dropped on the turret there. But yeah, Piglet a little bit too close to GBM. GBM's so good at holding onto that giant burst though and getting the perfect targets.
That actually, it considerably was a very big target to hit, because had Caitlyn not gone down, they'd have more turrets.
Oh, that turret, yeah,
they'd
that
have
would
up
be
to an
gone.
inhibitor. So GBM with the
Dardoch
clutch
wearing a blue.
final play.
Looks like he got it.
Is Dardoch. Yeah, look, it's only just halfway gone. So
Yeah, their blue's up, so it's definitely a steal.
that's a freshie. 26 on the clock, 9-6, and that gold lead is not getting any easier for NRG to kind of close in. Team Liquid's going to grab the dragon. That'll be their first one. 26 minutes, nice time to get that 6% damage. Impact this guy. He hasn't been somebody they can kill right away, so maybe if he can work off what the team's doing and create some opportunities top, they can get a good teleport play to happen.
All right, let's see if Team Liquid can keep this up. Because Dragon down now, they want to move up their ward line and try and apply pressure to these side lane secondary turrets to grab those before retreating back to a Baron bait. Since they're so heavily based on Siege because of their comp, Baron bait suboptimal right now, even though they do have really good pick potential. I mean, Lux with Ghosties is great at picking people off and 100%ing them, especially if you get a lucky ghost onto one of the squishy targets. But the trap spam with Siege is just so good. Oh, they're going to go for the fight. They brought Impact.
He said he was very hard to kill now in this fight. They're looking to try and get to Moon, just a bit squishier of a target. GBM's locked down, but that's really protecting him. He gets hit up. Lorlo, focus onto GBM. Altec pulls one in, and Conquan goes out. Piglet and Phoenix are actually in a safe spot. Impact's going to go down. They're focusing the tank. Do they have enough time? Yes, they do, because Piglet is on the outside firing in shots. That's double for him, and Altec has only been able to answer back with one so far. Dardoch really not necessary for the chase still, and it looks like Phoenix was going to chase, but the team has eyes on mid.
Pretty big pick right there. Matt, again, he was able to temper fate this time GBM, and GBM was in a spot that right when he came out of the temper fate invulnerability, Lorlo slammed him into the wall.
Yeah.
Full range right there. Able to get the stun off.
I thought for a second it was going to give him a chance to assess what was happening, but he was just pinned down even harder.
Yeah, Phoenix is also able to dodge the cocoon, which is pretty big, as you see coming in here. So there's a tempered fate. Everybody lines up for this. Oh, actually, GBM flashed. So Lolo was in position for the flash right into that wall.
That was instant.
Really good preemptive. So what I thought NRG were going to turn here is Conquan was into the back line, and I thought Altec was going to go straight for it, but they back off and they try and take down the front line instead. I think Conquan did not have his ultimate available anymore, so couldn't face tank them. Plus they just barely missed the knockup on the reactivation of Kalista ultimate there, so they weren't able to chain Fate's Call knockup into Alistar knockups onto the back line. But that was really close to going NRG's way. GBM, this is your time to shine once again. Can he get another Baron steal with Victor? Ultimate is available, and they've got wards in the pit.
On the other side of the wall, Baron's down to 3,900.
They're just going to go for the pick instead.
Conquan, Unbreakable Will is on. GBM ult comes in. There's going to be a TP on that as well from Impact. Whoa! GBM gets absolutely deleted by Piglet and some outside damage. Altec's the next focus. He cannot afford to be in the fight. He rends out with a bunch of AoE damage from the rest of the team, and it's just not enough to clean up Team Liquid. They flow through this fight, and they're headed to Baron.
Bard Lux is so good at picking people off and disrupting the backline in team fights. Matt again finds a great backline tempered fate, is able to even follow up with a stun that time. Oh, Moon!
Get the spider!
He can't get into the pit.
Slap it with a broom! There, they got it.
Piglet's got the broom.
He's got
That's
it.
gonna be the Baron. But yeah, man, there's just so much long range CC here when you add Bard into the mix here with Lux.
Yeah.
And they're easily able to capitalize on it too. I mean, Lux wasn't even able to land her combo on GBM because Piglet added enough damage to kill him right when he came out. All right, but anyways, let's take a look here. There's the two-man Tempered Fate, so they're able to stop the damage from the mage. even though they're All-Star. Yeah, Piglet
Cupcaked him.
even before. Woo! So he got that automatic headshot plus Peacemaker, I think.
Yep.
And anyways, then it's an easy fight to clean up because if GBM doesn't 100% Piglet, that is going to be a rough time for NRG.
Liking those cupcakes, man.
Yeah.
Great update. You can use them efficiently. Just super instant in a fight there and throw somebody off. Piglet now 5-1-9 after that fight, looking pretty good with the rest of the team. Everybody getting good kill participation in here. And, you know, pointing out Lorlo, a guy that's been kind of struggling on the top side or a pain point for where other teams have found kind of an entry in a way to win the game. Lorlo has stepped up here. First TP and then help from Dardoch bottom, and he's been able to use it.
That play on GBM where he waited around for GBM's flash and got him right into the wall was so good I didn't even catch it the first time around.
So here are the traps. This is where they start to play the you cannot re-engage on this game, but we're going to try and poke you a little bit here at the turret, and the turret will indeed take that damage. GBM trying to hover the outside. Not too much pressure on the other lanes. That's one thing NRG has going for them right now for sure, is that they don't have to really respect anything else on the map. But what is happening in this mid lane? With double teleport, though, I wonder when Team Liquid's going to break this and start spreading.
Baroned up team with the Caitlyn trap spam and the possibility of Lux landing a binding on anyone and 100%ing them, save for Alistar or Trundle, is just, I mean, this is so frustrating for NRG to deal with right now. Team Liquid just move it right in.
So much threat right now coming in from Liquid. See the respect coming from NRG, and we already have the lane pushed in from Lorlo. As I just said, the lanes were not pushed. He made sure to do some work on the mid now, so more pressure with one inhib down.
Yeah, I don't know if they can even wait out this Baron. It looks like they're trying to wait out the Baron and then go for the engage, but Team Liquid, they've got enough left on this Baron that they might just keep the siege up until they get another inhibitor turret. Looks like they are backing off, though. Never mind. So NRG just decide to weather the storm there, give up one inhibitor turret rather than trying to go for a really disadvantageous fight right there. 14,000 gold behind plus Baron on Team Liquid is so difficult to deal with. It's not really going to get better, though, so at least the Baron buff will fall off.
Good play so far from Liquid. Definitely a new-looking mentality from the entire team, and definitely a spot where they can start to change the season around. Renegades, TSM, and CLG were the three of the teams that they've lost against. And Renegades kind of being towards the bottom, TSM and CLG, teams that may not expect to beat in the first week, but now it's looking like Team Liquid could change the second half of the split and make something work. Piglet, we know, can get a little back and forth with emotions. That early game didn't seem to throw him and Matt off. An early flash blow and a level 2 mistake, but they still played it well. Definitely looking at a new team.
Yeah, for as much as people talk about Piglet's temper and Piglet tilting, remember that in that game where they were so far behind, 11 kills and ridiculous amounts of gold, Piglet went deathless. He stayed cool, and they won the team fights because of him. Oh, the stun on a GBM!
Lorlo over the wall. That's going to be the knock-up. I don't think they're going to be able to get too much off of that with Conquan throwing them back and forth, but they do have impact. A guy they may be able to kill. He flashes out. That's the ultimate coming in from Lorlo, or I'm sorry, Hammershock, and they start going in. Altec's going to be hit up as well on the right side if they can catch him. Moon now going to be the one going down as the Nexus is taking pressure from the bottom inhibitor being down. And NRG is trying to make some split decision, or split second plays, I should say. And it's costing them way too much. Lorlo and Phoenix now inside the base, looking to finalize another kill. He gets the Blade of the Rude King active off onto Phoenix, stays alive. But Team Liquid with quite a punishing game in 34 and a half minutes. 20-7 on the scoreboard. Team Liquid take down NRG.
Much smoother win here from Team Liquid than the first two games that we saw today, and from any game that we've previously seen from Team Liquid. So huge, huge turnaround for them. They've got to feel really good about that one.
Absolutely. We heard Moon in the beginning talking. I think it'll take a while for this 10-man roster to find kind of a common ground where they all get along with each other, they all play very well together, and they understand each other in game. And it's getting there. We saw a glimmer of that right now for Team Liquid, and it's something that they did need, because it's usually a team we see not having to deal with this. They're 2-0 in the first week, and then they may go 1-1, but they've never been a 2-3 start.
Turning things around. They kind of hit rock bottom there, losing the first 3, and then they've slowly started to climb out. Definitely starting off this week on the right foot. Loco really happy with that performance, obviously. Meanwhile, for NRG, really rough, especially for Impact in that top lane. He was focused so hard by Dardoch and Lorlo early on. Repeat ganks there from Dardoch. Pretty much all being successful.
And that he should. I mean, I still look at this NRG team, and you just kind of get scared. The Kalista and the Alistar, you already have that combo, and we saw them trying to make their own initiations. GBM on one of his most comfortable we've seen in the NALCS. And then Impact onto the Trundle. It doesn't seem like he can super carry from that. It's kind of in the middle, but if you also then focus him, as Team Liquid did, maybe that's what Loco was saying in the beginning. It's like, if we don't have much to go for, keep going for Impact. Keep going for that solo lane. Poppy Rek'Sai, easy dive. I mean, over and over. Speculation, but they played a consistent win condition over and over.
Yeah.
Very nicely done by Team Liquid.
Moon on NRG, that early pick on the Elise, not paying off for them.
Yeah.
Really, he was just trying to catch up the entire game.
Well, we will have to see. Team Liquid feeling real good about that win. Another Caitlyn game coming in. Some Matt Bard we were hearing about, but weren't really seeing too much of, and a lot more Bard coming out, and we saw the plays it could make. And like you said, Kobe, the 1 or 2, 3, 4 misses, but the one that counts. We need the one that counts, and that's turn the game for Team Liquid. We're going to go take a magical journey right now down to the stage for a word with Team Liquid support.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. They let me out from behind the analyst desk to interview Matt after that victory for Team Liquid. Now 2-3. You're coming back from that 0-3 start for Team Liquid, so that's got to feel good. I want to know from you, as a guy who was brought in after the first initial loss and one of the people who's fighting to kind of regain the momentum for the team, how it feels to now have 2 wins under your belt in a row here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm like a rookie at LCS. I came in after the last Renegades, I guess. So I guess my record's 2-2 now. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I was just pretty much at the start of this whole season looking to improve as a player because, yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to just get like LCS stage experience. So that's what my main focus was for spring. But I think I improved a lot more. So I'm just going to show what I can do on stage and hopefully finish top 2 the split.
Oh, well, top 2. I like to hear that, and I'm sure a lot of Team Liquid fans are happy to hear that as well. I do want to get a little insight then into how the team operates within in terms of shot calling. We've heard a lot about the fact that you and Dardoch split that responsibility, but being 2 rookies, what's that experience been like? Not only are you trying to adjust to the LCS stage, as you just mentioned, but you have the weight of having to make these decisions in some high-pressure games.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like, I think like the public's view of like shot calling is like a little skewed. I mean, like there's a lot of like intricacies about shot calling. Like there's no one shot caller. I think like the biggest example right now is like everyone thinks Hyde's like a major shot caller. I mean, he is a really major shot caller, but like there's a lot more to it. Like he's not just like making every little decision for his team. It's a group effort. All 5 people are, yeah, just involved in the communication. So right now we're just working on me and Dardoch. We're like the macro players. We're trying to set up how to do the lanes, how to set up the team fights. And yeah, the other 3 players are just feeding us information, and we're just trying to, yeah, like everybody's a shot caller. It's not just one person.
Now, Team Liquid so far, we've seen plenty of good early games from you guys. Actually, Freak mentioned earlier in the broadcast today that this very possibly could be a 4-1 team right now after that win, with really only the CLG game being the one that we saw was kind of out of hand and maybe not, a comeback kind of situation. I want to get your opinion on where you feel the breakdown was and what you guys are trying to improve on as a team that's going to eliminate those kinds of losses that you had earlier in the season.
I mean, I think, yeah, a majority of our losses were, I mean, I can look at myself mostly because like, I had a lot of personal issues. Like I definitely played poorly in the majority of our losses when, yeah, I mean, I was just new to the stage, I guess. I mean, that's a pretty bad excuse, but I think going forward, like, yeah, we have all these like stage jitters off of us now. Like, we can really prove that we have solid macro play, we have solid players, and yeah, going forward, I think we'll have a really good record.
It's a better answer than unlucky, because at least this is identifiable and fixable. Final question for you. I'm looking at Tip tomorrow as your opponent. Another team that struggled to start the split, but have now had their own kind of resurgence here, 3-2. So the roster definitely looking a little bit scary over there. What are your thoughts going into that matchup tomorrow now that they have their full lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I think TIP like definitely got, I don't know, like the community they didn't think they'd be a good team or whatever the perception was. Like, that's what I personally thought, but seeing them, like, it's definitely, there's some pressure there, because before the start of the season, everyone thought it was going to be like 0-18 Tip, or whatever meme that was. But yeah, I think they're a good team. We're going to have a good prep work, and like, yeah, I think we're going to have good prep into tomorrow, and we'll be playing pretty solid.
Should be a very exciting game. Thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations on the victory there. We're going to toss it back up to the guys at the desk to get their final thoughts on that match.
Thanks, Dash. And it really is awesome to see new players come on, feel confident about their play after maybe even having a bit of a lackluster, but being able to find that, because in the back of your mind, when you get this chance, you say, I want to be able to go out on that stage and I want to be able to produce some results. And when you do, that confidence shines through in your play and just as a person.
And they're able to stay to their game plan this one. They drafted the Siege comp with the Caitlyn, Lux, Bard, and they were able to play like that. They played the first 15 minutes just laning, out-laning their opponents. You know, early pressure there from Dardoch and constant ganks down bottom. They got a small advantage there. Then they grouped up. The Siege happened. Then they were able to control with the wards and get the picks that they needed with all those long-range abilities. It was nice to see, you know, fairly clean play right along the path that they kind of laid out for themselves in Champ Select.
Right, and it's no joke what they did. 18,000 or 17.5 when they ended this game. And usually we'll see a team kind of have a little bit of trouble towards the end. They won't know where to close out. They won't know where to get that last pick, or they won't want to go too far forward. They actually kind of kept control of the game the whole time. There were a few back and forth that NRG has in their macro movement when they get around the map. GBM was there first, so that he'd able to take out Piglet. But overall, that's a different Team Liquid than what we saw. It didn't seem like anybody had emotional problems during this game with any of the downsides.
And I think we do have another replay
Yes, we do.
of one of the final team
I
fights.
think 34 minutes on this one, I believe.
So this is just them ending the game, as you're talking about. This is actually NRG kind of desperate play here, because they know they're so far behind. They're trying to create something, and GBM on that outside trying to flank here does go awry for them. Team Liquid, good collapse here. Actually, this heroic charge takes Altec out of the laser, trying to get the stun right there for Lorlo, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they're able to get the ace in the hole and zone him out of the fight anyway, plus clean up 2 more. Piglet flash healing to get in range for that auto to steal it.
It's got to be so
Secure it.
It's so disrupting as well. Lorlo played, like you were saying, Lorlo played so well as to be in a different part. You're like, I'm in this part of the fight, and you just get slammed to the other side. And a lot of what NRG brought to the table became auto attack in that sense. I mean, at least auto attacks aren't that much, but Impact's got to get close. Conquan's got to get close to do his moves, and they were getting all pushed around. And it seemed like that disorganization, and maybe it's going to be looked at by other teams in the fight, really affected NRG. It's something you used to get with Gragas in team fights and whatnot. We don't see a lot of displacement ults anymore. So maybe it's something to look at to beat down the teams. We've seen a lot more different things coming into week 3 here. Some fast games and some crazy games. And there's still more LCS action than you can shake a stick at. So when we return, Chronologic Gaming will square off against Echo Fox. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that mouse.
Stick shaker.
Shake sticks. Let's see if they can get a win. Liquid's looking to make that a 2-3 score. Moon throws the volatile spider out with Phoenix thinking it would be the cocoon.
Dardoch
the
here,
mind games on the crowd control. Dardoch is just a huge tank in the front line right now, swinging and swiping. The hit goes on. I got Kalista. On their back line. Okay. Okay, We gotta calm down. And it's costing them way too much. Lorlo and Phoenix now inside the base. Look at another kill. Team Liquid take down NRG.